Woo! What's going on, guys? Arms Forum coming at you with another video. Today's video is the aftermath of yesterday's game. Detroit Lions playing the Washington Commanders. Lions win pretty big on this one, guys. 44 to 22. Lions going up to 6-3, second in the NFC North, and then the Commanders falling to 3-7, third in the NFC East. Struggling, I think that was their fourth or fifth loss in a row. A lot of injuries going on with the Commanders. We went through it last year. You know, we were winning a lot of games because of it, though, and they ended up facing us in the playoffs, and they were pretty healthy. We were beat up, and they took advantage of that, and they got us. So this is a little bit of a revenge game, if you will, for that whooping that they put on us last year. We brought it back, and we whooped on them. So, there's no crying in football. Injuries are injuries. It's going to happen. It's part of the game. It is what it is. So, speaking of injuries, let's talk about some injuries. We'll go to the Lions side because they're the road team, so we go with them first. Right tackle, Penei Sewell went down yesterday, leg injury. It looked pretty serious at first, gasp of air. When a guy like that goes down, you get really concerned. You get really nervous. He did return. He got taped up pretty good, so don't really know what specific part of the leg it was. It looked like it was the lower part. When they were wrapping him up, it looked like it was kind of like the high ankle, kind of shin area. So maybe it was an ankle, maybe it was a shin. But he did get hurt, but he did return to action. And then center Graham Glasgow, he went out for a bit. I don't know if he ever returned on this football game. I can't remember. I know Tristan Colon went in for him. He got hit. I guess he described it was funny. He said that Tate Ratledge kind of jumped over a guy. He kind of saw Tate Ratledge jumping over a guy because he thought he was going to get rolled up on. He did like this crazy somersault, and he ended up like hitting Graham Glasgow square in the back with his legs and heels. His heel, because Ratledge has probably got big feet. He's a big man. So there was a lot of weight coming down on Glasgow's back. He thinks he'll be okay. But he was out for a little bit as well. I think he returned, though. I don't really remember. And then cornerback Terrion Arnold, he had a concussion. He's had a string of bad luck with injuries this year again. This is like the fourth or fifth game out of 7 games he's played this year that he has left due to injury. So he had a concussion, brain injury, they're calling it. So I'm assuming that's a concussion, and he'll be in protocol. I don't think he returned, so they'll keep a close eye on our cornerback there. Then the Commanders, they had cornerback Trey Amos, leg. I think he broke his fibula. Looks like he'll be out for a while. Defensive tackle, this wasn't, not a lot of injuries happened during the game for the Commanders. They had some stuff going on, obviously, before the game with, Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin being out for this game. But defensive tackle Darren Payne got ejected in his football game. Suspended 1 game, 2 for literally punching Amon-Ra St. Brown right in the mouth. I guess sort of getting a little chippy in this football game kind of early. There were some words going on. Defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw was clapping in Jared Goff's face. He almost got ejected. He made contact with the ref. I'm surprised he didn't get ejected. But Daron Payne did get ejected for punching Amon-Ra St. Brown right in the mouth. So it kind of hit him right here, right in the bottom of the helmet. Pretty stupid throwing a punch, with a guy with a helmet. But that's a 330-pound human being punching a 200-pound guy. So, and St. Brown took it like a champ, and scoreboard. That's all I would have said. And then the next play, they pretty much, on that play they scored, but before that play, that was Javon Kinlaw was clapping in Goff's face. Didn't really understand why he was doing that. Javon Kinlaw has kind of been known to be a little bit of a douchebag in the league. I remember when he was with the 49ers. I remember when I first started my my YouTube channel. Kind of was fairly new. He was a 49er, and he went after a YouTuber. He actually went after a YouTuber at San Francisco 49er camp. Don't remember the YouTuber's name. You can probably look it up, man. You probably look it up on YouTube. Just put in Kinlaw goes after YouTuber. And he was a well-known YouTuber at the time. I just can't remember his name, but he kind of went after him at training camp, or he threatened him or something like that. It was kind of funny. But Kinlaw has been, he's a little bit of a hothead. He's been known to do stupid shit like this. And he said after the game that Amon-Ra St. Brown threw the first punch. So when you watch the video, you don't see that at all. But then Amon-Ra came back, and they asked him about it, obviously, right? And he was like, "Well," he said, "we had an exchange a couple plays before that." He goes, "I said a few things to him, and he obviously didn't like what I said." So he didn't admit that he punched him. Javon Kinlaw said he threw the first punch at Daron Payne. It looked like he was completely lying. No, you just look at his face. But that's a teammate backing up a teammate. But yeah. So there was some animosity early in this football game, and the Lions handled it pretty good, I thought. Now let's go to the stats. Lions with the Lions first because they are the road team. To the offense, the passing, quarterback Jared Goff was really crisp on this day, 25 for 33 on a 75% completion percentage, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns. Wasn't sacked. He was pretty comfortable in the pocket all day. Wasn't hit a lot too. We'll talk about that in a bit. The Lions ran away with this game, even because quarterback Kyle Allen got in this game, but he was 0 for 2. He didn't complete any passes, zeros across the board. So, yeah, good for Goff, man. He had a great game, 300-plus yards, 3 touchdowns. And like I said, man, with this offense, by the way, I should have said this right away, but play calling went to Dan Campbell. Now, I may or may not make a video on this. It just all depends on how this goes. Dan Campbell took over play calling yesterday, kind of out of the blue. Nobody knew about it except obviously Campbell and his team and his coaches. But he was out there right away with a pair of glasses. He had like a huge giant call sheet in his hands. So the speculation was going through the roof during the game. He went on to every social media. It was like Campbell's calling plays, John Morton demoted, blah blah blah, this and that. So Morton was upstairs still. He was up in the booth like he always is. And he got demoted, plain and simple. He just got demoted. It was confirmed after the football game that this is what happened. And he utilized the offense really well. Yes, I know. We played the Washington Commanders. But this is the NFL. And the Campbell kind of explained it today that he gave Morton an 8-game evaluation. And he decided that this was probably best for the team. He wanted to see a change. He wanted to make some changes in the offense, and this is what he did. Now, there's a lot of people in here that aren't buying that Dan Campbell's this genius. I'm not calling him a genius, but he is a very, very underrated, smart head coach that a lot of people just think he's some Neanderthal, that he's some meathead that just likes football. There might be some truth to that. That he is, that he's kind of this caveman kind of type guy, but he is a very intelligent human being when it comes to football. It really is. You listen to everybody talking about him, on social media, during games, you see all these analysts talking about him. He's far from a meathead. He's far from a Neanderthal. Just because of the way he presents himself, he's a brute of a man at 6'5", 250 pounds. Played tight end. He's the way that he presented himself at the podium when he first got introduced as a Lions head coach, people obviously thought this guy was just a dummy, that he was just a dummy. And this guy has a lot of smarts when it comes to football. And there's a lot of my friends that kind of rip on him too, and it's kind of unjust. It's unjust because he's a really smart football coach, and he knows what he wants. This is what he did. Now, this might be a bad hire this is probably a bad hire by Dan Campbell, and those are going to happen with John Morton. Being taken away your offensive coordinator duties or your play calling duties is, halfway into the year is probably in your first year is a fail, and that's okay. It's going to happen. It happened in 2021 when he did it with Anthony Lynn. Halfway through the season, pretty much, he told Lynn to stay upstairs. You're going to be the eye in the sky. You're going to help me out. I'm going to go to you for information, input. You got to give me information. You tell me what you see. We go back and back communication. That's what it's all about. And that's what he did with Morton. And he's not throwing Morton under the bus. He values his coaching ability, his coaching skills. He still wants him on board. We'll see what happens in 2026. Will Dan Campbell be the offensive coordinator in 2026? Will he be the main play caller? We'll see. It just all depends on what type of offense they get. There'll be guys that are available, and we'll see from there. But this was a good move. Yes, it was the Commanders. They dumped over 500 plus yards of offense on here. Bunch of touchdowns, like 6 touchdowns or four, like, was it 5 touchdowns, whatever it was, all together, maybe even more, and just a lot of yards. So, hey, this is the team to do it against, was the Washington Commanders, and it was impressive. It was very impressive. He utilized everybody, and he threw Goff threw to a lot of wide receivers, used pretty much every single wide receiver we could, every single outlet. They got J-Mo involved, Laporta. You even saw guys like Raymond and Isaac Tesla get involved. Good team to do it against, like I said. Now, let's see if he's going to do it next week. We'll talk about that in a bit. But all in all, I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but I'm saying it now. I thought it was a good move. I didn't think it was very important, obviously. When it first came out that, John Morton, because the last couple of weeks people were pointing fingers at John Morton. It was starting to get a little bit heated, it felt like. I necessarily didn't think it was that big of a deal. But obviously Dan Campbell did. He knows the team, and he made the decision. So, as YouTubers, and fans, we don't know. There's a puppy going off. We don't know what's going on inside the building. There's speculation and all that stuff. You read stuff online, but I didn't think at the time that it was that big of a deal. And that's just me being a fan. Me trying to give John Morton the benefit of the doubt a little bit. Because we were still explosive at times, but we had some problems on the O-line. I guess it was a lack of communication. There was some stuff going on where Campbell needed to make the change, and he did. So, but obviously I'm just a spectator on the sidelines, man. I just give you my opinions. But during the week of last week, around Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it was, I saw kind of like a media day where it was like St. Brown, Decker, I heard Morton, Campbell, all 3 or 4 of these guys were saying all kind of different things. One was saying there was communication problems. Another guy was saying communication looked like it was okay. Lack of flow. Morton kind of pointing fingers at people, but not naming names, kind of like not blaming himself at all, not taking much accountability, it felt like. So at that time, Wednesday, Thursday, I was like, oh, maybe there is a situation. I started maybe listening and saying, okay, but maybe some people are right. Like some of this fan base are right. Maybe there is a problem. And obviously there was. Because you don't get demoted for a reason. But it happens. It happens in the NFL, and this is what happened, and they did exceptionally well. So I talked about that probably too long. I should have did it at the beginning, but it is what it is. So, but let's go with the rushing guys. Running back Jahmyr Gibbs had a phenomenal day, 15 carries for 142 yards, 9.5 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. He was on fire. Running back David Montgomery was 15 carries, 2 right down the middle, 71 yards, 4.7 yards a carry. The wide receiver Khalif Raymond, he had 1 carry for 10 yards on an end around. He got heavily involved in this game, Raymond. 226 total yards on the ground, running the football. That's what we like to see from this Lions team. That's what the Lions are all about. Now receiving, wide receiver J-Mo, Jamison Williams had 6 catches for 119 yards at 19.8 yards a catch. A touchdown on 7 targets. Wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, 5 for 58. 11.6 yards a catch. He had a touchdown, 8 targets. Tight end Sam Laporta, 5 for 53, 10.6 yards a catch, 5 targets. Khalif Raymond, wide receiver, 4 catches for 49 yards, 12.3 yards a pop, and then 4 targets. Running back Jahmyr Gibbs was 3 catches for 30 yards, 10 yards a pop. He had a touchdown as well through the air on a nice cut inside that just left the linebacker in the dust. For 4 targets, and then, like I said, wide receiver rookie Isaac Tesla had 1 catch for 11 yards a pop, obviously, in 1 target. You saw guys like Tesla, Ross Dwelly, tight end Brock Wright. Everybody got involved in this football game. There was, it felt like 7 or 8 different wide receivers got looks, maybe even more. I think 7 or 8 actually caught the ball, but I think he went to about maybe 8 to 10 weapons on this football team that he actually threw to, and it felt like 7 or 8 actually caught passes. So, Campbell utilized this whole offense, And that's what you're supposed to do. Now, like he knows this team inside and out. He does. Maybe, like I said, maybe John Morton was a little bit overwhelmed. A couple times he came on that podium, he was like, man, sometimes you don't know who to go to because it's just, we're so loaded here. To me, that sounds like maybe he is a little bit overwhelmed. I just didn't read between the lines. And it happens. I just didn't read between the lines, and maybe I should have, but I didn't. And the move was made, and yeah. Now, defensively, linebacker Jack Campbell, 9 tackles, quarterback hit. He's all over the place again. Safety Brian Branch, he had a really nice game. 7 tackles, tackle for loss, 2 QB hits, and he had 1.5 sacks. Safety Thomas Harper, 6 tackles. Linebacker Alex Anzalone, 5 tackles and a QB hit. Nose tackle Roy Lopez had a really nice game with 5 tackles, two tackles for loss, QB hit, and half a sack. Defensive end Tyler Lacey had 5 tackles. Quarterback Arthur Malott had 3 tackles and a pass deflection. Cornerback Terry Arnold had 2 tackles and a pass deflection. Cornerback Rocky Asin had a tackle and 1 pass deflection. Defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, he had a little bit of a quiet game, guys. 1 pass deflection, a QB hit, only a few pressures. He was doubled, he was chipped. He was fighting all day. It looked like he was really gassed. I don't know. There was a few times that he looked a little bit more tired than normal. And it's not because he's out of shape. Hopefully he's not. Hopefully an injury didn't pop up or something like that. But it's not like he wasn't trying. But it just, they handled him pretty good. You know, they doubled him up. They got help with a tight end or a running back. Sometimes you saw a guard come over and help out. So, you know, he had a tough day. But he made a couple pressures, and he did bat down a pass, and he did have a QB hit. But, you know, not necessarily one of Aiden Hutchinson's better days, but hey, we beat these guys up. Now, kick return, running back Sione Vaikai, he had 2 kick returns on a 19.5 yards a pop. Wide receiver Khalif Raymond had 1 kick return for 21-yard average. And then punt returns, wide receiver Khalif Raymond had 3 of them. He didn't really get any yards. I think he averaged like 1 or 2 yards. He got balled up pretty good on punt returns. And then kicker Jake Bates, it was 3 for 3 on field goals with a long of 48, and then 3 for 4 on extra point. I think an extra point was blocked. Then Commanders, we go to quarterback Marcus Mariota. He got the start because Jaden Daniels was out. He didn't have a bad game, 16 for 22, 72% completion percentage, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked twice. He had a nice rating. You know, you guys know who Marcus Mariota was, former number 1 pick, man, of the Titans years back, and he's got a lot of experience as a starter. He's not a bad quarterback. He's just one of those guys that you got to keep an eye on. He can run, he can do a lot of things. He didn't have too bad of a football game. He didn't have a lot to throw to, so but this is the NFL. We don't cry. Then running back Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt had 11 carries for 30 yards, 2.7 yards a pop. And then running back Jeremy McNichols, 5 for 25 and 5 yards a pop. Then quarterback Marcus Mariota, 5 for 22, 4.4 yards a carry. Then running back Chris Rodriguez, he was 6 for 16 yards, 6 carries, 16 yards, 2.7 yards a pop, and he did have a touchdown. They held this defense of the Lions, I thought, played pretty well. There's a lot of people out there kind of complaining about the defense on this game. I thought they played well. Yeah, they scored 22 points. 1 touchdown was on a short field because they had a really nice punt return by one of their guys. I'll explain that. But all in all, I thought this game defensively for the Lions was nice. Both teams didn't make any like game-changing plays. Like there was no turnovers, there was no interceptions, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries. There was none of that. I don't think the ball even went on the ground once during this football game. It felt like it flew by, this football game, just because of that, maybe. But I thought the Lions did a pretty good job defensively. Still letting up 22 points, but that's not that bad. That's not that bad considering. I thought they did well. They just didn't get their hands on the ball, the defense. But they held the Washington team that can actually run the ball pretty well. They haven't of late, but they held them to 93 yards. Nobody had a rush over 9 yards. I think Chris Rodriguez's touchdown run was for 9 yards. It was either 6 to 9 yards. But not one running back like Merritt, McNichols, even Mariota, the quarterback. Nobody ran for a single rush over 9 yards. So I thought the defense did a good job blocking. their run game right there. And then receiving for the Washington Commanders, wide receiver Treylon Burks was 3 for 58, 19.3 yards a catch, 3 targets. Treylon Burks was a former Tennessee Titans first-round pick, I believe. And he led that team with 58 yards. So then tight end Zach Ertz had 4 catches, 54 yards, 13.5 yards a catch on 5 targets. Wide receiver Jalen Lane, I think he's a rookie, 1 for 41 yards a pop, obviously. Only got targeted once. Wide receiver Deebo Samuel had 4 catches, 29 yards, 7.3 yards a pop. He did have a touchdown on 5 targets. And then wide receiver Robbie Chosen. You guys remember this guy, Robbie Chosen? I believe his last name was Robbie Anderson. I believe that was his name. He was a New York Jet, I think, a few years ago. And he changed his name to the Chosen One or for some reason. But he had 1 catch for 17 yards a pop. He was targeted 4 times. And then tight end Ben Sinnott had 1 catch, 4 yards a catch. He did have a touchdown too as well on only 1 target. So the receiving didn't do a lot. Burks 58 yards. Other than that, they had a couple touchdowns, couple short touchdowns by Deebo and Sinnott. Defensively, linebacker Bobby Wagner still getting the job done. 9 tackles, a QB hit. Safety Quan Martin, 9 tackles. Cornerback Mike Sandustrow, go blue, Michigan guy, 8 tackles. Safety Jeremy Reeves, 7 tackles, pass deflection. Defensive end Preston Smith, the old man, 5 tackles. Quarterback Jonathan Jones, 4 tackles, pass deflection. Linebacker Frankie Louvu, he actually got hurt a little bit in this game too, but came back. 4 tackles, pass deflection. Defensive tackle Sheldon Day had 3 tackles and a QB hit. Defensive end Jacob Martin, 2 tackles, 2 QB hits. Outside linebacker Von Miller, tackle and a QB hit as well. 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, and 5 QB hits. The offense completely rolled this defense. They do have injuries, but again, what do we not do? We don't cry. Because nobody feels sorry for us. We're not going to feel sorry for anybody. That's just the way it is. Now kick returner, they had a cornerback named Noah I can't say this name. Igbinoghene. Oof, I just butchered that name. So we're going to call him Noah Ig. We're going to call him Igbin. Igbin. That's what we're going to call him, the Igbin. He had 7 kick returns. That's wild. 27.3 yards a catch, a pop. He did have a 46 long. That he had a nice return at one point in the football game. And then punt return, they had none because we didn't use Jack Fox, not at all. And then kicking, kicker Matt Gay had 1 for 1 on a field goal. I think it was a 48 long, I believe it was. 1 for 1 and extra points. Punting, punter Tress Way, 4 punts for 50 yard and average inside the 20 twice. So he got a little bit of work. Jack Fox didn't get no work. So let's go to team stats, and then we'll talk about the football game. Let's go to the Lions first. First downs, we had 30. Third downs, we were 5 for 10. That improved 50%, so from the games prior, which is awesome. Fourth down, 2 for 2. And then rushing, 226 yards. Passing, 320. Total yards, 546. Awesome day for the offense. Sacks and yards, 2 sacks for 18 yards. 0 interceptions thrown by Goff. Punts and average, 0 punts, 0 average. We didn't use Jack. Penalties and yards, 3 penalties for 1 yard. So it was really good, disciplined game there. Then fumbles and fumbles lost. We had 0-0 there. Time of possession, 32 minutes, 36 seconds. Almost knocked that over. Now the Commanders, first downs, they only had 14. Third downs, they were 2 for 10. Excellent for the Lions defense. Fourth down, 3 for 3 though. Rushing, they only rushed for 93. They passed for 195. Total yards, 288. Great day for the defense. 0 for 0 on sacks and yards. 0 interceptions thrown by Mariota. Punts and average, 4 for 50 yards a punt. Penalties and yards, they had 8 penalties for 61 yards. And then fumbles lost, they had 0-0. But time of possession for the Commanders, 27 minutes, 24 seconds. So this football game, guys, like I said, I was kind of going through it. From the get-go, the Lions had control, especially on offense. I think they pretty much scored a touchdown or kicked a field goal on every single possession. Put up 44 on the board. Goff was great. Gibbs was even better. Montgomery was running well. J-Mo had a hell of a game. Sam Laporta was used well. Khalif Raymond had a nice surprise game. Like to see him getting involved too. So many weapons. guys, this team has so many weapons. And like I said, it was the Commanders. I get it, but it's still an NFL football team. And dropping 40 on an NFL football team is very tough. So I think this is the second or third time they've done it, 40 plus. And, we'll see what happens from here on out with this offense. But they were clicking. Campbell said that he's ready to do it again this week. We'll find out if that's the truth or not. There's no reason to even go back. There's no reason to even go back to John Morton. Keep John Morton on his staff. Like you said, he gave credit to John Morton and the coaches. He said, those guys gave me input throughout the game. I can't do this by myself. This is a collaborative effort. This is a joint effort. It's not just me out there. My coaches have to help me. I have to have help. It's obvious. He needs the eye in the sky. He needs guys on the sidelines. He needs all angles. Campbell's a great coach, but he can't do it by himself. It's literally impossible. So, I'm thinking he's staying on board. He wants him around. 2026 is a whole other ball game. We'll talk about that some other day. But I expect Campbell to keep rolling. So, and he has a big test coming up against the Eagles, who are about to play the Packers real soon. That offense was great against that defense. That defense didn't really do much in Washington. And then our defense, I thought, played well. I know there's a lot of people that are pointing fingers, saying that Kelvin Shepard needs to go. I even seen a few of those. I couldn't believe what I was reading. They gave up 22 points. I get that. One was a short field, so I kind of understood, they're getting some points out of that. But all in all, they had a really nice game. They just didn't have any turnovers. This team's usually, getting to the quarterback about 4 or 5 times, it feels like, a game. Maybe not that much, but they are second in the NFL in sacks, which I was kind of surprised. If it's not Aiden Hutchinson or Muhammad, it's one of our linebackers getting to him. So, this week it was a nose tackle and a safety getting to Marcus Mariota. So, because Hutch was kind of bottled up. I thought Muhammad got bottled up pretty good too. They did good jobs. They actually did good jobs on our defensive ends. So, but all in all, I thought they played pretty well. Yeah, no McLaurin, no Jaden Daniels, but this is the NFL. This is what this is. And I thought the defense played well enough. I thought they played well against the run. Only gave up 93 yards. No running back or anybody ran the ball for on one rush over 9 yards. They did get in the end zone once on a Chris Rodriguez run. Other than that, I thought they played pretty well, man. I thought they played well. Gave up a couple touchdowns through the air. Debo's going to get in the end zone every now and then because it's Debo. Ben sent out. He's usually their second or third tight end, whatever he is, blocking tight end. But he got a touchdown. But I don't think it was a bad game by the defense. I thought they played pretty well. So that's really it, guys. Great game. I thought all around, kind of a game that they needed to win. Obviously, I think all these games are must wins. That's just my opinion. Especially now when you lost that tough game against Minnesota last week. That was a rough loss. You can't really lose too many more because I'm telling you, 10 wins might not get you in the playoffs. If you look at the NFC, it's crazy. It's crazy how it is right now. There's so many good teams, lots of good teams in the NFC, and you got to take care of your division. You got to take care of the division first. Don't worry about what the Eagles are doing. We're going for the Eagles tonight, though. We're going for the Eagles tonight, but don't worry about that 1 seed, in my opinion. Maybe I'll make a video about it. But, just worry about your division for number 1. And then from there, you see what happens. So that's really it, guys. Great game. Must win. They did their job. They haven't lost a game in back-to-back in like 2-3 years. So, Dan Campbell doing what he does best and just piling on wins. And, now he's the play caller. Did this back in 2021 too, guys, real quick. Just get it out of the way. 2021, he did this with Anthony Lynn, like I talked about a little bit. Sent him upstairs, kind of helping out, eye in the sky. But this was a little bit different situation. That was for when Ben Johnson wasn't an OC. Kind of wanted him to watch him kind of work on the sidelines, And Dan's never been an OC, but he's just a coach. He just knows ball. You know what I mean? And then obviously they hired Ben Johnson in 2022, but this is a little bit different. John Morton lost his play calling duties. He's probably going to still be the OC, but he's just going to, he's going to come up with some schemes and stuff like that and be the help, be the eye in the sky. But, losing your play calling ability, getting it kind of ripped away from you. It's not a good look. A lot of people didn't like this hire. I was kind of on the fence with the hire. I didn't really know who they were going to go after. I wanted Tanner Engstrand, the guy that went to the New York Jets with Aaron Glenn, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's it, guys. Long ass video, 30 minutes plus. So yeah, the football game coming up right now. I'm going to watch it. Thanks for coming to the video, guys. Thanks for watching me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification. Don't forget to hit that bell. Bing, bing, bing. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. Big win, Lions. Washington Commanders in trouble, injured. It is what it is. Big game coming up against the Eagles. That's who we play next. Eagles next week. Sunday Night Football in Philly. Boom. Boom. Let's go, guys.